FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
Here, do you see any parallels between the situation the U.S. economy is in now and Japan's economy in the 1990s? Are there any lessons that we can learn from Japan's experience?
Well, there are parallels, there are dissimilarities, and there are lessons. Some of the parallels, of course, there were bubbles. The central banks came in and tried to halt the bubbles, and then things headed south. In the U.S., banks have been much quicker to acknowledge their problems, to take the write-offs, to raise capital. The government has been much more aggressive than the Japanese government was in the early 1990s. So the adjustment processes, while extraordinarily painful in the U.S., were seemingly getting through it quicker than Japan did in the 1990s. On the negative side for the U.S., there's just the amount of household debt is dramatically higher than anything Japan faced, and so that's a negative for the U.S. Once again, the U.S. Federal Reserve has shifted toward quantitative easing and is much more aggressive than the Bank of Japan ever was. And the key lesson to be learned is, if you remember in the late 1990s, just when consumption was getting ahead of steam in Japan, the government raised taxes, reduced disposable income, and contributed to the economy going back into recession. The lesson to be learned is the U.S. Shouldn't pull the stimulus away and should not raise taxes. And let's just see if we learn those lessons.